So GT3 cars are the most popular class in both real life and sim racing, because of their ease of use, you can say, because of their driving aids and the handling of them being quite easy to pick up for anyone, both a alien, you could call it, like John Opmy and James Baldwin, or like a noob, someone a bit like me. So in Automobilista 2, these cars have had a bit of a reputation for not being the best handling wise. And what I've heard a lot is, why can't they just fix them? And yeah, basically, why can't they just fix them? And one of the solutions people have had is, why don't Automobilist or why don't Razer take the handling model of the GTE and put it in the GT3? So today I'm going to test out if it's needed, because there was a recent update which fixed the tires, or what you want to call it, the tires a bit, and I've still heard that. So let's see what the difference is. But I've also heard that the modded GT3 cars might be a bit better. And if you want me to review them, just comment it down below. But now let's get into Automobilista 2 and talk about the specs of these vehicles. So first we head off to the GT3, and the GT3 car, or the GTE car, you can say, that I will be testing is the Chevrolet Corvette Z8.A. So it has 526 horsepower, 637 Newton meters, 1.3 tons roughly, and it has no ABS, but it has TC. Then if we go to the GT3 Gen 2, I will be reviewing the Chevrolet Corvette Z06 GT3.A, and here you can see it weighs roughly 100 kilos more, has ABS, but has a bit more power, which is quite interesting that it has more power than the GTE cars. But let's see how much that actually does in terms of driving. And before we get into that, if you like this video, please hit the like button and also subscribe down there. I'll be making more videos like this where I do some reviews on certain cars and stuff, where I answer questions and inform you. So if you like that content, hit the like button and also subscribe. So now let's head into Automobilista 2 and let us drive. So you can see here, we're in the Corvette, the GT3. And a characteristic which I found about GT3 cars in the sims I've driven, which are ACC, Race Room and Automobilista 2, but mainly Race Room and AMS2, is that these cars are quite stable. And I wouldn't say it's to do with, or it's probably to do with the aero, but also to do with the tires, where these tires, they don't really have a edge of grip in a certain way. And by that edge of grip I mean is that you have a grip limit, you have the point where the grip is at most, you have the most grip in the tire, and then it falls off. And in some tires, which you will see a bit later on, it's more abrupt and you can really feel it. In these cars, it feels like that edge is very late, and then it's a bit abrupt, but not a lot. So that's a very interesting thing, which I feel like has been by design to make these cars handle a bit better. And if I recall correctly, I believe it was Coach Dave, he said these cars are supposed to be very planted and quite on rails, according to him. But as you can see there, if you're trying to turn too much, you will get understeer. But in this game, in Automobilista 2, they don't really feel that on edge, or in the same way, I should say. But in Race Room, they definitely feel on rails, and in my opinion, the Race Room feeling is a bit weird, because it feels like you can just push, and you can never really know when you're at the edge of grip, which I feel like is a bad thing, because in my opinion, you want to know when you're doing well or not. But obviously the scenes want to go realistic, and they should, but to a certain extent, in my opinion, and to not try and make it so these cars feel horrible and nobody will want to drive them. But you can see that the TC is very useful in these cars. But now, I feel like after doing this one lap and having described its tires, so we can just summarize it quickly. So the car is very stable, no real issue driving them. There's an issue finding that limit, because you can feel the cars after the limit, they don't really spin, they more slide, you can call it. But how do the GT3 cars drive? Well, let's figure that out. So now we are in the GTE car. And instantly I can feel that the tires, there is that distinct edge of grip in these tires, where it feels like the car is trying to go away from me. But that, I mean, really in these cars, they don't really slide, but I can feel that edge of grip where it just wants to have issues. Like on turning, I can feel it a lot when I turn a bit too much. And then also when braking. So you could sort of say the tires seem very, or this car is very front limited, since it seems like most issues with grip are in the front. But obviously with setup you can try and mitigate that, but that's what this car generally feels like. And in the GT3 it felt very balanced. It didn't feel like one side was limiting the other, which could be a good thing for ease of use. Like there, yeah, the tires, they could also have maybe a bit more grip, or it could be there, I'm not so sure. But the car feels like it has a bit more grip than the GT3, but yet it feels like it feels harder to drive due to that edge. Like there you could see the braking and then the spinning. So you could see there how edgy the tires are. So in general, these tires, after doing that lap and spinning, the main thing with this car, or the main difference actually, is the tires. Where this car seems to have a lot more grip. It seems to have more grip before losing traction, and then has less grip than the GT3s after you're starting to lose traction. Which is an interesting difference, really, because I don't know why that really is. Maybe to have more grip you need a steeper curve of losing grip. I'm not so sure, because I'm no tire engineer and I haven't really worked on cars. So if you know, please comment down below. But that's the interesting thing. So now let's just quickly summarize all the points I have figured out. So, in general, these cars, what's the main difference? Is there really a big difference? Well, those are two questions. The first one, the answer to the first question is the main difference are the tires. They're both Michelin tires, but the GTE ones are, if we imagine this as the grip curve, it goes up, 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 a bit higher than the GT3 one. So you can say GTE is like here and GT3 is like here, but then the GTE goes more like that in grip, whilst the GT3 seems to go more like that. Or actually, now just, yeah, because that could be it, but it could be also be influenced with TC and ABS, but in these cars, the TC, it feels like you can lose the rear a lot more than in the GT3 car, because in the GT3 car it feels more sliding than spinning. But what do you think? Comment down below, and again, please hit the like button and also subscribe if you like this video. My next video will be an interesting video on a circuit which you don't really hear about a lot in modern racing, but Automobilista 2 has it, and it's a very fun track. So I hope to see you there. But until then, I've been Racing Legend, you've been my amazing viewers. Thank you for watching, goodbye!